that what are the criteria for any food to be halal if it's made in a factory or processed, or any food to be halal. And the second question is that if in a factory owned by non-Muslims, if the workers are non-Muslims, and at home if they have pork and they eat pork, and with the same hand they come into the factory and they make food, can we have this food? Is it allowed for a Muslim to have food which is touched by non-Muslims which eat pork? As far as what are the criteria for any food to be halal, the basic rule is that if it is not against the Sharia, if that food is not prohibited in the Quran or the Sahih Hadith, it is permitted. The basic rule of the fuqahas, including Shaykhul Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, is that all food is permissible unless there is evidence of it being prohibited. So the general rule is that all food are prohibited. All other things also, whether it be the soap you use or the other things, general ruling is everything is halal unless there is evidence of it being prohibited. And Shaykhul Islam Ibn Taymiyyah in the Majwa Fatawa, he says, and he quotes the verse of the Quran of Surah Nisa chapter 4 verse number 59, Atiullah, Atiur Rasul, obey Allah and obey the messengers and those who have been charged with authority. That means you have to obey Allah and obey the messengers and those who have been charged with authority. And then in the verse of Surah Ma'idah chapter number 5 verse number 55, it says that they are your wali, your protectors, your friends, that is Allah, His messenger and the believers. So based on this, the fuqahas and the scholars have said that generally everything is haram. Everything is halal unless there is evidence of it being haram. And the second ruling is that anything which is harmful is generally haram. And the thing that is harmful can be in three categories: that the harm is much more than the benefit, or the harm is equal to that of the benefit, or the benefit is more than the harm. As far as the first category is concerned, if it is more harmful than benefit, it becomes haram. And that's what the Quran says in Surah Baqarah chapter 2 verse number 219. When they ask thee concerning intoxicants, tell them in it is benefit as well as harm. But the harm is more than the benefit. So if the harm is more than the benefit, the general ruling is it is haram. Even if the benefit and the harm is equal, it becomes haram. Only in cases where the benefit is more than the harm, in this case, the benefit carries more weight and it becomes permissible. So generally, all the harmful goods are haram. And Quran says in Surah Baqarah chapter 2 verse number 195, that make not your own hands the cause of your own destruction. And further, it's also mentioned in Surah Nisa chapter 4 verse number 29, that kill not your own selves or others, for Allah is most merciful. So killing yourself or killing others is prohibited in Islam. So whatever is harmful is haram is the general ruling. But generally for food also everything is halal unless there is evidence of it being haram. As far as the meat are concerned, generally the meat is haram. If it's of an animal which is prohibited, it is haram. And Quran says in Surah Ma'idah chapter 5 verse number 1 that lawful for you are all four-footed animals with the exception name, and the exceptions are given in the Quran as pork in Surah Ma'idah chapter 5 verse number 3, Surah Baqarah chapter 2 verse number 172, verse number 173, in Surah Anam chapter 6 verse 145, and Surah Nahl chapter 16 verse 115, Hurrimat alaykumul maytatu waddamu walamul khinzir. That forbidden for you for food are dead meat, blood, the flesh of swine, and any food on which Allah's name is taken. And there are various hadith that say that the animals that are prohibited are the animals with canine teeth, the carnivorous animals, the birds with talons. So all the animals that are prohibited in the Quran and the hadith is mentioned. The ones which are permitted are the cattle. Even the animals which are permitted, whether it be goat, whether it be cow, these cattle and the permitted animals, they are only permitted if they fulfill the conditions of the Sharia, unless they are haram. Otherwise they are haram. So these animals which are permitted, even the meat generally is haram unless it is slaughtered by the Islamic method of zabiyah. So these are the rulings of the Sharia. So if it's slaughtered by the Islamic method of Zabiyah and all the conditions are fulfilled, the name of Allah is taken, then it becomes permitted. So generally, this is the ruling for the food. Now, you ask me the question that if, and the ruling also is general, that the Prophet said that if you go to house of a Muslim, you don't have to inquire. It's understood that if a Muslim is serving you any food, that food is halal. Unless you have evidence that the Muslim has bought a haram food. Otherwise, you don't have to inquire. Similarly, if you are buying food or a meat in a Muslim country, it is the duty of the Muslim authority, if it's a Muslim majority country, and the Muslim authority to see to it that's halal. It's their job. And if an Islamic organization or a Muslim country puts the halal logo, it is understood that you can have it freely. You don't have to inquire much unless there is evidence that surely that they are making a mistake or they are saying it's halal but it's not halal. So unless there is solid evidence and proof that that product is haram, that's the only time you can doubt. But if an Islamic organization puts a halal logo, as a Muslim you have to agree with it, unless there's evidence that they've made a gross error.